Hey everybody, this is Michael from the Deep Culture Podcast, and also welcome back to Wrestling Pops. Yeah, Wrestling Pops. Again, thanks for listening, watching, whatever it may be. I appreciate it. I don't know about the bi-weekly thing. I like it. I don't know. I'm still kind of seeing how this is going to work. If I want to do it weekly, bi-weekly, whatever it may be. So if you're wondering, last week, if you were listening, watching, whatever, wondering why there wasn't a new episode, um, I don't know. It's just that time of the year. I'm a teacher, so kind of winding down and getting ready for summer. And for whatever reason, last week just didn't have anything that I really wanted to share about. At least at the time, kind of had to formulate my thoughts on the draft fully. Kind of had to take that in. I was gonna do part of today's episode last week, but um, I think the wait this time was a pretty good one because I also got to watch WWE Backlash, which I'm sure a lot of you guys and gals did as well. Um, and what an awesome show that was. I'll talk about that, talk about the draft, and just things I'm looking forward to, excited in the next few weeks. So, again, thank you, listening, watching, whatever it may be. Let's start off with the good. Let's start off with the good. Let's, be a little positive. Hey, let's be a little positive here. Uh, Backlash. That was awesome. That was a good show. I'm gonna start with the positive. It wasn't perfect, but I also don't want to be super negative. I want to talk about the good stuff. So I'm going to run down the card here for WWE Backlash that was from Puerto Rico, which an awesome crowd, by the way. The overseas crowds and out of the United States crowds, they kill it. They're awesome. Um, I was listening. I think it was Meltzer said you can't do these all the time because that might ruin it. And I get that, but I think Puerto Rico should probably be back in the rotation sooner rather than later. And I know there's financial stuff to get to with that, but man, it was an awesome crowd. That whole crowd, I mean, moments where if it was a Raw, Nebraska, they might have been like, okay. But Puerto Rico, they just made the whole show feel so much bigger than it probably actually was. But let's start off right off the bat. So the first match that I'm seeing here, the first match that I watched, Bianca Belair, and I'm sure you did. I'm just saying I came into this one a little bit after the entrances, so if I missed something, sorry, but came in a little after the entrances here, and Bianca Io, I think it was pretty evident who was going to win if you see the matchup. Like if you looked at the card going into it, it's like, yeah, Bianca's probably going to win this. Teasing stuff with damage control. Yeah, and they did all that, Um, but the crowd, oh my gosh! Again, just speaking of that crowd was so behind EO. I would not have guessed that much support. I mean, other than Bad Bunny, did she get the biggest, reaction of the night? Maybe Savio, Carlito, which are Puerto Rico, the Puerto Rico crowd. They obviously love their hometown heroes, but man, Io Sky, the reaction she was getting made you seem and made you feel like this was going to be an upset, like she was going to win. And that's how a crowd can make or break. They can make or break a show. You might have an awesome card. You might have just a ridiculously good card, and then the crowd sucks, and it just doesn't seem as cool or as big of a deal. I can't remember where it was. I want to say it was somewhere in the Midwest. And I understand that WWE goes to a lot of places all the time, but there was one year they had a Raw. And honestly, I think it was a Raw I was looking forward to, which is saying something. This is around the time of Seth's initial WWE Championship run, I believe. And I thought things were picking up pretty well. They're doing decently at the time, and that crowd just like deflated it that whole night. I want to say it was somewhere in the Midwest. I might be wrong. Might be completely butchering that, but like Puerto Rico, this match again, if it was on like a SmackDown or Raw, whatever, is it as big of a deal? I don't know. It was a great match. It was a great match all around. Bianca getting booed is something that people were making comparisons to John Cena. And hey, if you're already getting compared to John Cena, like wow, that's pretty big deal. She handled it very well. She wins, and again, they played up the damage control dissension a little bit. Not completely like over the top stuff, but there was a little bit to look in there. And I think this match, the real everybody, this is one of those matches where everybody came out looking like a star. Everybody. Bianca, obviously, because she already is one. Uh, and then Io, I mean, again, Raw, SmackDown, is she getting that reaction? I mean, that is crazy. She looked like she could be a legitimate candidate, and that's exciting. A lot of people, a lot of wrestling fans are hoping to see that. So, great match, great start off match. The story going into it is what it is, and I'll talk about more of that stuff kind of later. But next match, Omos and Seth. This is a match that a lot of people were like, "What? You know, why did they make this match?" Speaking of story, what? You know, why? Decent match. Made Omos look good, having to do the curb stomp 3 times. Made him look big. Seth gets a win here. I'm gonna say something. Maybe you guys don't agree with. I don't really like Seth Rollins' theme song. I don't. I don't. I'm sorry. I don't know. It's just it just doesn't flow very well. It's really like da, 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 and then you know, like it's just very. I don't know. I just don't get into it. I like the original, like, you know, burn it down with the da, 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 you know. I understand they're trying to get away from that. I think that was a previous artist, but anyway, besides the point, Seth Rollins. I thought it was a decent little match. For no build up, and yeah, I mean, really, what can you do in this situation? I think both guys are being pushed for bigger things. I think Omos obviously is someone they want to support. He's huge. He's literally huge. You could do a lot with that. Seth with the World Heavyweight Championship, who knows? He might be. If I had to bet, I would say he's probably going to be that first champion. Might be wrong, but I think he will be. And this match again, I don't like the first match. I don't think anyone came out of this match looking worse than they came into it. So a decent little match. Puerto Rico is getting their money's worth here. Triple threat match next. Theory, Bronson Reed, Bobby Lashley. I like Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley is someone who has really grown on me, and that I just really enjoy. I think his whole presentation is someone, and I know he's a little bit older, so you can't really give him too heavy of a push. As you know, like they're trying to make Austin Theory someone moving forward. I get that. Lashley, though, he's one of my personal favorites in WWE right now, and he wasn't always. I think he got a lot better as time went on. But United States Championship, I think again, decent match. New Theory, I figured Theory. Let me put it that way. I figured Theory was gonna win. Just seemed like wasn't the time for him to lose, especially coming off a win at Mania against Cena. When it was a triple threat, I figured Bronson Reed would probably be the guy to take the fall somehow. And again, good match. I same thing. If you want to look at someone who maybe someone who didn't come in better, it could be Reed. But even that, I don't think so. I think he looked pretty strong in this match. It was again enjoyable. The whole show has been enjoyable up until this point. It only gets better from here. Next one, Rhea and Zelina. So Rhea Ripley, Zelina, and this is a huge match. Zelina, Puerto Rico. I noticed that they were calling Rhea Ripley the Eradicator. That's a weird nickname. Like I don't know. Maybe they know more than I. They're $1 billion business. Okay, the Eradicator. It just doesn't roll off the tongue. Very harsh. It's wrestling like Eradicator. Like cool. I don't know. Rhea Ripley's really cool on her own. You got the whole mommy thing going. You got the uh, a whole bunch of other things you could do. Um, I think Eradicator's a little goofy. I noticed that when she was walking out. Didn't really like that, but the gear was cool. Rhea's white gear I thought was really cool. Really funny with the Dom, the Dom reference on it. Zelina's gear, something I hope they make an action figure out of. I thought that the gear was so cool. It made the moment even more powerful. The big flag cape that she had just made that moment bigger. Really cool for her to get that moment. And even though she doesn't pick up the victory against Rhea, thought it made her look, again, good. They did a good job of putting these matches together. I've seen some people say, well, they could have had her win and then, like, the next night or the next Saturday or whatever, have Rhea get it back. I don't know. I mean, they could have. I understand that. Um, Yeah, I mean they could have. You very very well have, and it might not have affected either. But also you don't want to risk Rhea Ripley looking uh, less than dominant, um, which seems to be her whole gimmick. Like you just she she or really Bianca uh, be beat. So next match, the fifth match, and this one should have been the main event. This should have been the main event. Absolutely. They said it was a double main event. Come on. I also don't like double main events that have matches in between. I don't like that. The whole pay per view was built around this match. You have Bad Bunny, the most streamed artist in the world. The most streamed artist in the world. I was telling my wife about this. I was like, Bad Bunny. Like, this guy is wrestling in WWE. And like, no big deal. He's just the most streamed artist in the world. Okay, like, what? I'm gonna be honest. If I was the most streamed artist in the world, even if I love wrestling, I cannot tell you. I'd probably not go through a table. I would. I would do the typical like, and I'd be the celebrity they'd probably complain about. But they'll never have to worry about that. So, uh, so, um, but Bad Bunny, man, he is amazing. I just wow. Let me get into the whole thing. I liked Damian Priest's gear as well because this is also this is his home. He's wearing the white. I love the explanation for that. He feels like he's the hero. I thought that was just a little subtle explanation. Um, Not a lot of people might ask why is he wearing white. You know, white traditionally more of a face color. I've heard with black, the heel. Sometimes when people wear white, that is a signal that it's going to get messy. You want to see the blood or whatever. Not usually the case in WWE anymore. But thinking like Cardona at GCW, he had all white in it. But cool gear. Damian Priest, he's man. He's really good. I'll talk more about him in a second. But the moment everybody's been waiting for, Bad Bunny comes out. Oh my gosh! Like what the heck? Logan Paul has wrestling, he's doing great there. Don't get me wrong. McAfee, I love McAfee. Great there. But this guy is a world like artist. Like, Logan Paul, more so than McAfee at this point, I would say, just because of what they do and who their target audience is. I might be wrong on that as well. But both of those guys, more of, I think, an America level celebrity. Bad Bunny, whoa. I mean, this guy, he just came in, music playing, and that song, that entrance, top entrance, I think I've seen in WWE. It was incredible. It was so cool. Such a surreal moment. The drone flying in. Dude's a star. It was awesome. I mean, I just cannot say enough positive things for that moment. And I was a little skeptical. I was like, okay, the first time he was in a tag match, this time he's on his own. It is a street fight. There's going to be wonky things happening. But man, this is pro wrestling. This is awesome, or sports entertainment. Sorry, this was awesome. I cannot tell you how much fun I had watching this. The Again, Bad Bunny taking the moves he did, going through the table, um, looking like he wanted to be there too. That's the other thing. It's one thing to just do the moves and to be a part of it, but he looked like he wanted to be there and cared. Damian Priest, total pro. Um, that's a huge spot. That's a huge spot to be in, and it shows how much faith they had in him. And I can only imagine that's going to increase going forward. I just can't imagine him not being given some sort of a more of a push out of this. Like, big dude can work. I don't know. I was very impressed with him during this match. Also loved the run-ins. The I watched Carlito growing up. Um, for me that was cool. I like that. I like the Carlito pop. Savio, that was cool too. Just incorporating everybody they did. Really well done. I cannot say enough positive things. And I don't know how they didn't think of this and they were like, you know what, this has got to be the main event. This can't be. Actually, they're like, nah, this can't be the main event. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I know sometimes you can't predict those things. Like, they always talk about Rock and Hogan at WrestleMania 18. That match in Puerto Rico, those two guys, that was huge. I mean, it was amazing. I hope Bad Bunny continues to do stuff with WWE. I'm a fan. I'm a fan. I hope he keeps it. It was cool. What else can I say? It was awesome. Um, and I look forward to seeing more out of that. The next thing, and I must say, the one thing that was disappointing for me was the next following match. It's a hard, it's a hard thing to follow. Bad Bunny, Puerto Rico, Damian Priest. But the Bloodline against Riddle, Zayn and Owens. This whole story just seems like it's when I say this whole story, I mean the Zayn Owens part of it. I think it's run its course. I think it has. It's starting to wear thin a little. It's not hitting as hard as it did at Mania, which was only a month ago. And I understand, okay, if you lose your titles, you're gonna want to get them back. But the interesting part to me is obviously the Solo, the Jay, and the Jimmy dynamic. I get Riddle wants to get revenge on Solo. Zayn and Owens are trying to defend their titles, but just have Kevin, Sammy do something else. Like, even if you have Riddle and Solo still in the thing, that makes sense. But I just Kevin, Sammy, they're go up against some other tag teams. The Usos, do something else. That part of it for me is wearing thin. I understand that some people are saying, "What are we doing? What are they doing? Excuse me. Why are they dragging this out?" And it's all gonna hit. I understand that. I just my personal thing is the Kevin Sammy. Like, to me, that's hopefully this is it for that. Um, but I'm excited to see the Solo Uso Roman dynamic moving forward as they continue to tease that as everything breaks down. So this match, it was what it was. It was a victim of, I think, where it was placed on the card a little bit. Not that that should ever be used as an excuse, really, but and I'm not really criticizing it either. But at the same time, it was how can you follow the match that came before it? So, and then last but not least, Brock and Cody, the main event, the co-main event, but the actual main event, Rhodes Lesnar. This one was interesting to me. I saw the rumors and I kind of was like, yeah, that makes sense, but no, they wouldn't do that. Um, at least not the way that people were like saying it was going to happen. I didn't believe that was going to be the thing. Why would you put this match on last if you're going to have Rhodes going a stretcher? That doesn't make any sense. I think in this situation, if they would have done that, this match would have probably been where Bad Bunny was. It would have been last. But man, Cody got some offense in here. Little surprising that he won. I thought maybe he'd still lose and set up further stuff, and I still believe there will be further stuff with Lesnar and Rhodes. But notable thing with me with Cody is his willingness to take others' moves. And I'm always wondering, and this is my big like gripe sometimes. This is not just Cody's, right? This is things I see. It's never really explained. They used to do like storylines where like, hey, you took my move. Right? Like I remember RVD and Eddie Guerrero doing a story over like who does the better frog splash. People criticize the Young Bucks for doing super kicks all the time. Then you got the Usos doing super kicks, and meanwhile, if Shawn Michaels comes in and does a super kick, which one is more dangerous? It is what it is. Wrestling evolves. I get that, but like Cody Rhodes doing like the cutter or the RKO. You know what I mean? Like Randy Orton hasn't retired. Like he's just doing these moves. He's doing the Cody cutter as well off the like I don't know. I do like when wrestlers had moves specific to them, and I know with the indies and with other shows, and there's only so many moves you could really do. I get that, but I kind of wish they did have some wrestlers like, hey, don't do that move. That is, that's RKO. You can't do that. Because what's the difference between the RKO and the cutter? So, that's one thing I just noticed from that is a takeaway for me. Moving forward, Cody, he's in that triple threat, which is taking place tonight as of recording this. We'll see what happens. I am imagining him and Lesnar are not done, though. I would bet on that. So, overall, man, a pay-per-view, and that's all. That's a lot of the good. That's a lot of the good. I want to share the crowd in this. The matches were really good. The stars used were really good. I think the right people on each match as well. You could debate the Cody Lesnar one with the story. Some people would debate the Zelina Rhea, but I think all the right people won. My question is, what is the story with all these matches though? So the kind of flop for me is, man, that was an awesome pay-per-view or PLE, whatever. What's next? And I'm saying that not in a good way. I'm saying that as like Bianca Io, like what now? The hype for that wasn't as big as maybe it could have been. Great match. What's the payoff there? Again, the Usos, Kevin, Sammy. I know the draft is going to take care of some things, but what about that? Like, do they keep doing the same thing, or do we finally get a fresh matchup? Cody Lesnar, that one will keep going, I'm sure. Like I said, Bunny, he'll be off for a while, I'm sure, doing touring, music stuff, being a world celebrity, doing whatever he wants. So what does that mean for Damian Priest? He's also in that triple threat. We'll see how that works out. To me, again, the problem lies with what I'm about to talk about next, the draft. A lot of these matches, it was left up to like, okay, well, we know this person's going to Raw, this person's going to SmackDown, or it doesn't even matter because like no one knows what's going on. So even then, with the World Heavyweight Championship, with the draft, with all this uncertainty, Backlash, story-wise, there was no story overarching. There was no big takeaway story for me. And what is so funny about that is it could be totally prevented. It could be 100% prevented by WWE. I do not like, and I've never liked, the WWE draft ever since the original one. And let me specifically state, ever since the end of the first one. That is because they never stick to it. They never have clear rules. They never have a purpose. And again, to me, that also affected Backlash. I want to rate Backlash as one of their better premium events, period. But what is preventing me from doing that, again, is there was no clear, it honestly, to me, was like a glorified house show. Um, I might be wrong on that again, but like with the crowd was amazing. You put that show in front of other people, in front of an American crowd. I don't know if they go that crazy. Maybe if it's Chicago, maybe if it's New York. Again, you put that in random place, Ohio. Put it in Cincinnati or somewhere. I don't know. And I'm not trying to call out Cincinnati either, but I just don't know. I don't know if that show comes off as well. I think the draft is a big part of my issues with it. And let me start by saying, it just doesn't. A lot of it doesn't make sense. Again, you have a new world heavyweight champion because your WWE Universal Champion, who is undisputed at this point, he's won both belts, is a part-timer. And you made him a part-timer. And then you put the blame on him for not wanting to wrestle all the time. That's goofy. Come on. I don't know. So now Roman's going to have two belts, and we're going to have the world heavyweight belt. Explanation. Bad, in my opinion. The world heavyweight belt is going to be the working man's belt. The working champion on Monday Night Raw. It's going to be the person who who hasn't successfully pinned Roman Reigns for a belt. So we're giving you a consolation prize. And again, that is my problem with the WWE draft. You have people on both brands, but you're adding more titles, which takes away from the titles you already have. Roman's reign, is it diminished now? Maybe not, but whoever has the world heavyweight belt, are you going to think of them in the same light as Roman Reigns? Not really. Until they pin him, no. And again, that makes that belt seem like it's less. I just don't like the concept behind it. I also don't like the concept of doing a draft and you have set number of people on both nights. And the reason for that, on round one, obviously, who are you going to pick? Are you going to pick random person or are you going to pick the champion? I'm going to pick Roman Reigns. Yeah, okay. But then you get Solo and Paul Heyman. What's the explanation there? I don't know. Why are we doing that? And why aren't the Usos involved? I understand there's this whole thing with the Usos, but why were they drafted separately? Why wasn't it just the bloodline? I don't know. I don't think they know either, to be honest. Other things that got me, again, there were some people being drafted ahead of champions. What do you want champions on your show first and then fill in the if I was successfully trying to create a better brand, I would take all the people who were champions and draft them first. Would I have 10 title belts? Yeah, but if the people aren't going to take champions, that's just logical. If they are the best in that division, take them first. Other things that bothered me, I hate when they do this. The women's champions, Bianca with her belt, she's going to the opposite show. Hate that. Rhea with her belt, opposite show. I hate that because are we going to get another switch? Here's the belt thing. I hope not. The last thing I will say about the draft is I'm looking through free agents. What? What are we doing here? So the first night of the draft, so on Friday, it was announced the free agents would be these people, if I could scroll down to it. Omos, Mustafa Ali, Dolph Ziggler, Von Wagner. Why? Like what? What is the explanation? Okay, so they weren't drafted. So realistically, shouldn't they go into the Raw pool and then be drafted from that? Apparently not. Like you have four people who can go to any show, and there's no explanation for it. And then we go to Monday on Raw, and we get even more. There's Brock Lesnar, which that one makes sense. And then which you don't even have to explain that one, you just understand that one. And then you get Baron Corbin, Shelton Benjamin, Cedric Alexander, Elias, and one other person's name I can't pronounce, and I'm not familiar with, and I apologize for that, so I'm not even going to attempt it. What the heck? I don't know. Like, what is the reason that they are free agents? I need to know that because it doesn't make sense to me. On top of you have like 15 free agents, now the tag champions go to either brand. Why? Like, if you have a brand split, why don't you do Raw and SmackDown? You have a Raw and SmackDown Women's Champion, Raw and, IC US, two world titles. If I didn't mention the women's, you have the women's title. Why do the tag champions bounce around? That doesn't make any sense to me. And again, the draft, they never stick to it. They never fully commit to it. The original one was the only one that was ever decent. As I'm wrapping up here and I'm ranting at this point, that was the only one that was ever decent because they actually stuck to it. You had a distinct Raw. You had a distinct SmackDown. You had general managers who wanted to make their show better. This draft, you had random legends doing their thing. And even that didn't make sense. Like Teddy Long, I think, announced a pick for Raw. Why wouldn't you have him do SmackDown? Like, so, Backlash, loved it. The new World Heavyweight title, I love the design. I'm looking forward to what's next for WWE. I'm looking forward to seeing how this all plays out. The draft, how I think they explain things, I think they could have done better. Yeah, they could have done a lot better. So we'll see. I don't want to be overly negative. It sounded like those last 10 minutes I was overly negative, but I mean, I just like things to make sense. It doesn't seem like it makes sense to me. So anyway, that's it for me. Wrestling Pops. Thank you for listening, watching, whatever it may be. Check us out. Deep Culture Podcast, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Yeah, TikTok. Check out Wrestling Pops on Spotify. Also, I believe on Google Podcasts, and there's one other one. Don't remember it off the top of my head. That's unfortunate. Sorry about it. But anywhere you can find it, check out Wrestling Pops, presented by the Deep Culture Podcast, which you're listening to now, and hopefully you'll listen to next week or the week after in the next episode. So, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Be good.